Mic check one, mic check two, mic check one, mic check two. No sound, no sound. All right, let's try this again. Are we good now? Okay. And I went through all that. Y'all couldn't hear me. I'm not going to start over. I'm not going to start over. I don't know what the problem was. Come on now. It's always something, y'all. But as I was saying, Charlie Kirk criticized these 4 black women, saying they were affirmative action hires and they weren't qualified. I went through all that. Joy Reid, Michelle Obama, Shirley Jackson Lee, Ketanji Brown Jackson. And then I went and noted that they do have the qualifications. They are built for this. Judge Jackson, as I mentioned, graduated magna cum laude from Harvard University and cum laude from Harvard Law School. She was rated the highest possible ranking and well qualified to serve on the Supreme Court by the American Bar Association. Highly qualified. Affirmative action just gave her the point of, because she's a black woman, that she is qualified, and because affirmative action makes them look at her, not overlook her, to be able to be serving the positions that she's serving in. Number 2, Michelle Obama went to a special gifted high school and then graduated cum laude from Princeton University before studying law at Harvard. Same thing. They mention these people, they want to bring up that affirmative action, and they wouldn't be there if it wasn't for affirmative action, and they took positions from white people, qualified white people and everything like this. But do their qualifications equal the qualifications of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, of Michelle Obama? Shirley Jackson Lee graduated from Yale University with honors before getting her law degree. She has also been named one of the 50 most effective members of Congress. So you can't make these things up if they're not true. You can't put these people in these positions if they're not qualified. The last time, and I'm going to bring this up, the last time I heard someone or seen someone put into a position they were not qualified for, that didn't look like me, was a guy named Brown that was in the position of in charge of FEMA during Hurricane Katrina. And George W. Bush kept saying, oh, Brownie, we got confidence, and he didn't know the job. But he was put in the position knowing he was not qualified. And nobody had a problem with that until he was exposed because of the response for Katrina. But when you talk about affirmative action and the African-American community, as well as the Asian American community or anyone of non-white, then it becomes that, well, he's only there because of affirmative action, or she's only there because of affirmative action. But they don't want to tell you their qualifications and why they're there because of their qualifications. They just want to make it seem like affirmative action is taking the positions away from people of non-color and giving them to unqualified people of color. I have a problem with that. Very big problem. But this is Charlie Kirk. If anybody knows who Charlie Kirk is a white nationalist. And here's the thing. And I'm not saying that you have to be, but I'm going to say this because it's true. Charlie Kirk is one of those people who was continually talked down or down talk about people of color and their qualifications and everything. And he, and I'm going to talk about him right now. He specifically dropped out of community college. Let me say that again. He dropped out of community college. So it goes back to what during the Jim Crow era they used to say. If you can get the lowest, most uneducated, downtrodden white person to think that he is better than any person of color, we're winning. This is what they said. I didn't say this. This is what was said. And I may be paraphrasing, but it's all the same. And during the Jim Crow era, they said if you can get the most downtrodden white person, person uneducated and poor, to think he's better or she's better than the most educated African-American black person, then we're winning the battle. It's still going on today. Still going on today. Renee Allen, good morning. Good morning from the Allens. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I apologize for all the technical difficulties earlier, y'all, if y'all couldn't hear me, but we're going to continue on with the show. We're going to continue doing what we do. You know, let me see if this works now. Let's go in here. Let's go break it up. I should have known something was wrong when I tried to play the opening this morning. It didn't work. I appreciate y'all letting me know the sound wasn't working. But let's get into this. Taxpayer-funded militia. Taxpayer-funded militia. Let's be clear here when I talk to you about this. Ron DeSantis, you know, that Florida governor, has sought to recreate the Florida State Guard, a World War II era volunteer force intended to supplement the state's National Guard for non-military missions like emergencies and natural disasters. Understandable if that's what he's doing. He's trying to get these people as far as to supplement the National Guard in case of hurricanes, flooding, any national disaster that may happen in Florida. But here's the twist. Here goes the twist, and this is why I'm going to call it a taxpayer-funded militia. According to the Miami Herald, droves of veterans who were brought in for training quickly quit. So they came into training for this Florida State Guard, you know, to help them out in emergencies and in evacuations and in natural disasters and everything like that. But the veterans that came in, many veterans from what they say, quit quickly because they realized they were being given purely military training for a force that looked like it would have a military mission. They quit because it seemed like the training they were getting was more military oriented to go towards a military mission. Taxpayer-funded militia. Over 30 days in June, teenagers out of high school and retired military veterans came to Camp Blanding, the National Guard base near Jacksonville. Many were told they would volunteer for a revived state guard with a non-military mission. Help Floridians in times of need or disaster, reported Lawrence Moore, Emma Rose Brown, and Anna Sabalos. These are the people that reported on this. However, when they arrived, the state's National Guard trained the volunteers for combat. Khakis and polos were replaced by camouflage uniforms. Volunteers assured they could keep their facial hair were ordered to shave, and they were drilled on how to rappel with ropes, navigate the woods, and respond to incidents under military command. This comes after experts previously raised alarms that DeSantis could effectively be creating his own private army. DeSantis could be creating his own private army. The legislature disregarded those fears, giving DeSantis 400 volunteers and a $10 million budget for the project. According to the report, the State Guard has blown through 2 leaders in 8 months, as even higher ups question the mission, fearing that DeSantis is creating a private force he can use to put down riots and conduct law enforcement activity. The program got hijacked and turned into something that we were trying to stay away from, a militia, said a retired 20-year Navy veteran, Brian Newhouse, who previously led one of the State Guard's divisions and filed a number of grievances, including that the State Guard mandated training on Sundays with no time off for church attendance. Furthermore, said the report, one volunteer, a disabled retired Marine Corps captain, called the local sheriff's office to report he was battered by Florida National Guard instructors when they forcibly shoved him into a van after he questioned the program and its leadership. Notably, the report continued, while the State Guard training had the visual trappings of military boot camp, it wasn't nearly as rigorous. People were not tested on what they learned, were not given written training materials, and were not given medical exams. And some veterans at the camp found themselves being barked at by National Guard members who were much younger and had much less experience. All of this comes as DeSantis is facing broad criticism of his policies as governor and struggles with his lagging presidential campaign. Now, taxpayer-funded militia. He was given $10 million. Let me make sure I get the number there. $10 million for this project to incorporate volunteers into responding during natural disasters or to back up the National Guard in times of crisis. And what Ron DeSantis and his people have done is decided that they're going to train these people to do military activities rather than rescue and recovery activities during a disaster. And this is the person in Florida that people are supporting to run for president of this United States of America. If he is doing a practice run in Florida of having his own militia, what do you think is going to happen if this person becomes president? You don't just turn a light switch on and off about who you are just because you move to a different position. So this is going out to all those people in the United States of America who see Ron DeSantis as some type of savior as the Republican Party, a substitute for Donald Trump, or someone who you feel is able and willing to lead the United States of America for all people. This is what you're dealing with. This is what you're dealing with. And if he's doing what he's doing in Florida, what do you think he's going to try to do as president of the United States? Now, some of you in Florida are okay with it. Some people in the United States of America are okay with what he's doing in Florida because it's not affecting them. But when it starts affecting your loved ones, your grandchildren, your friends, all the people that it may affect, then what? Will you still stand on that hill? Will you still have that same feeling about Ron DeSantis if he bleeds this into the United States of American government at a full level of not just one state, but all the United States? This is why I say many times on this show, pay attention. Pay attention to who you're voting for. Pay attention to what they're doing. Pay attention to the reports that come out about what they're doing behind the scenes that people want to ignore because they think it's just some kind of a propaganda assault on the person, when in reality, they are doing these things. We're just not paying attention. We're just not paying attention. He is building a taxpayer-funded militia in Florida. And you can't tell me anything. From what I've read, you can't tell me that what he's doing is not illegal. You can't tell me it's not along the lines of Proud Boys, Tiki Torch Boys, or whoever you want to call Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and all them. It's just done at the state level by a state representative. We'll see. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. I'm just telling you. Keep an eye on this. These are the things going on that we tend to overlook and tend not to pay attention to. White nationalism. White nationalism. Now, this week and over the last, since he's been elected into, the Senate, Tommy Tuberville of Alabama has been a staunch supporter of white nationalism. He said that what he considers white nationalism, when you say somebody's a white nationalist, he says that they love the United States of America. Going against everything that we know that white nationalism stands for, he stood on this hill. And he stood strongly on this hill. He was on an interview with Caitlin Collins on CNN. And Tuberville repeatedly defended his previous comments And when Collins stated the definition of a white nationalist is someone who believes the white race is superior to other races, Tuberville said, well, that's some people's opinion. That is some people's opinion of what a white nationalist is, in his opinion. When asked what his opinion was, Tuberville said, my opinion of a white nationalist is if someone wants to call them white nationalists, to me, is an American. If someone wants to call them a white nationalist, I see them as American, is what Tommy Tuberville said. Now, mind you, he also says, speaking on an individual level, Tuberville added, if people think a white nationalist is racist, I agree with that. So he's straddling the fence here. So he's saying, when you say a white nationalist, you can love the country, but you can also be racist at the same time. I wanted people to remember, Tommy Tuberville used to be a coach at Auburn University, a football coach. This man with this ideology, let me just put it that way, coached up many young, impressionable African-American males at the Auburn University in Alabama. So then you have to ask yourself, when he was a coach, how much of the things that he believes now were actually being portrayed then that were just swept under the rug? How many of those players actually had these things and understood these things, but were more concerned with the fact of becoming NFL players and taking care of their families and overlooking the fact of this coach that they're playing for could give a damn about them? It's a shame. It's a shame that we put our young men and women of color in the hands, under the protection, let me say it this way, under the protection of these coaches at these universities, at these high schools, at these AAU, all these different places that we put them under their care, that may have these strong feelings about your children, but they're able to put that face on that shows something completely different. And you never find out about it until something like a report like this comes out. Or someone asks a hard question, which is not a hard question, of what is to you a white nationalist? What do you consider a white nationalist? White nationalism, I went and looked it up. Not hard to find. So Tommy Tuberville, being as old as he is in this United States of America, being from Alabama, I think he was born in Arkansas, but he's been in Alabama for years and years and years, knows exactly what white nationalism, what a white nationalist is at the core. But you have to understand, Tommy Tuberville at this point is saying things out loud that he wouldn't normally say, because what he's trying to do is keep his constituency close knit. So when it comes time for him to run again, he still got those people in the pocket. Case in point, everyone right now in the Republican Party that is running for president is more concerned, no matter what Donald Trump has done wrong, no matter what he's in investigation for, no matter what they feel about him, they're walking a tightrope line in order to not offend his followers. So if and when they do get the nomination, or if they are able to get the nomination from him, or he's restricted from running, they will be able to get his constituents to vote for him, for them, whoever it may be. Not speaking the truth about what he's doing. The only person that's really speaking out right now is Chris Christie. And Chris Christie has nothing to lose, because Chris Christie was a strong supporter of Donald Trump when Donald Trump ran the first time. So with Chris Christie, I'm like, okay, well, it took you how long before you decided to stand up for what you know he's doing wrong? This is that political game where they're playing. Tommy Tuberville, no different. So when they talk about white nationalism and people want to straddle the fence about what they think it is and what they know what it is. They know exactly what it is. And they know that most of these white nationalists, most white nationalism, people that practice white nationalism are the ones that they're depending on their vote for. No ifs, no ands, no buts. But white nationalism is a type of racial nationalism or pan-nationalism that espouses belief that white people are a race and seeks to develop and maintain white racial and national identity. Many of its proponents identify with and are attached to the concept of a white nation or a white ethno-state. Now, I didn't know what an ethno-state was, so I dug a little deeper to help y'all out, because I don't want to leave it an ethno-state. And we sitting there like, what's the ethno-state? We understood everything. Ethno-state. Here it is. White ethno-state. A proposed type of state in which residence or citizenship would be limited to whites, and non-whites such as blacks, Asians, Jews, Middle Easterners, North Africans, and Hispanics would be excluded from citizenship. White ethno-state. But Tommy Tuberville, senator, former coach, grew up in Arkansas, lives in Alabama, represents Alabama, doesn't know the difference between a white nationalist as far as the racial aspect, or are they truly Americans? Yeah, they're Americans with racial undertones. Let's call it what it is. But he wants to hold on to his constituency. He wants to hold on to his voting populace so he can get reelected. And understand something. This is the same person that's holding up the defense budget or the defense promotions, that's putting the security of the United States in jeopardy, because he wants them to eliminate the fact that the government, DOD has authorized people who live in a state where abortions are not authorized to be paid to go, for them to pay for them to go to another state to have an abortion. He doesn't agree with it. So he's holding up all promotions. The Marine Corps doesn't have a commandant right now, and it has been that, and this is the first time in over, I think, 200 years, something like that. So they have an acting commandant, but also these other positions. General Milley's leaving. All the Joint Chiefs of Staff, all the Joint Chiefs are due to leave, and someone is needing to be put in their places, and they can't be promoted. They've been nominated, but they can't be promoted until they go and sit in front of the Congress. He's holding that up. This one person is holding that up for everybody because he disagrees with one thing. But it's the same person that doesn't know and was hell-bent about the fact that they shut down. They had a stand down in the military across DOD for diversity training because they wanted to weed out and find out how rampant white nationalists and white nationalism was running throughout the ranks. He had a problem with that. See, understand these things about some of these folks that we talk about on this show. I don't know them personally. I just know their actions and what's reported about them. I don't sit here and try to call someone a racist, but if your actions are racist, then that's what I'm going to call out. I don't know your heart, but I know your actions. And that's what we talk about here on this show. Your actions tell me everything I need to know. And that's why we take it from there. Keep an eye on Tuberville. Keep an eye on him, because he's doing whatever he wants to do, and he's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. NIL, name, image, and likeness. NIL. For y'all don't know what for those of you that don't know what an NIL, name, image, and likeness. This came down and it allowed college students, college athletes to be able to profit off their name, image, and likeness while they're in school, because there was a big debate about whether athletes should get paid or any of this kind of stuff. So they went around, they said, okay, we'll let you use your name, image, and likeness to get paid while you're in school. You can do that, sell yourself or however you want to do it, and it won't affect your, whether your eligibility while you're in college and everything like that. And that's a synopsis of it, but you can go look it up if you want. But this week, Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky unleashed some pretty controversial comments as he spoke out against athletes earning money from their name, image, and likeness. And he appeared to target one particular demographic with his tirade: Black athletes. Now, mind you, when they did name, image, and likeness across the board, it's not just Black athletes, it's any athlete in college, no matter what the color is, none of them are exempt from being able to use their name, image, and likeness for profit. A lot of people have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it because, well, let me get into what he said first, and then I'll tell you where I stand. During a hearing on the PGA Tour and the Live Golf merger this week, Rand Paul spoke out against antitrust laws impacting college sports, making it clear that he does not support college athletes being compensated for being the focal point of a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's the problem right there. Name, image, and likeness has become a multi-billion-dollar industry for these athletes in college, and now they have a problem with it. Let me continue. The court ruled unanimously that the NCAA can't invoke their rules, and so they've completely screwed up college athletes. We used to be proud. Many of us love watching amateur athletes who weren't paid, Paul lamented. Now, everybody that plays basketball in college is going to be driving a Bentley or a Rolls. I mean, we're going to be seeing rap stars instead of basketball stars. I mean, this is crazy. And you know why it happened, Paul asked? Because Congress sat around and said, oh, well, because of antitrust, we can't let the NCAA do it. It went to the court, and the court made the ruling. Unfortunately, a unanimous ruling based on the law, so the laws got to change. Many people saw Paul Rand's comments, particularly the quote about seeing rap stars instead of basketball stars, as a racist dog whistle, and they were not happy. Sharice Joseph, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you. So let me get this straight here. Rand Paul, and I'm going to go again, with his constituency that has some African Americans, I'm sure they voted for him in Kentucky, chooses to attack the name, image, and likeness, not for the full capacity of what impact it may have on college sports or any of that kind of stuff. He wants to attack it to the point of, because the athletes, and he specifically said Black athletes, are making the money they're making, now they're not athletes anymore. We're going to see rap stars instead of basketball stars. They're going to be driving Bentleys and Rolls Royces because of their name, image, and likeness. But stop for a minute and let's think about this. Where was this issue that Senator Rand Paul has with the athletes? And why didn't he have this issue when these colleges and universities are paying these coaches millions and millions of dollars to coach athletes? They're signing deals for 5 years, $30 million, 10 years. Somebody had a lifetime coaching position. It might have been Mike Krzyzewski. I don't know all the ramifications, and I don't know all the people, but these coaches in college are being paid millions and millions of dollars to coach these young athletes. And for years and years and years, these athletes in college were not being compensated by others using their name, image, and likeness, which the college uses, CBS Sports uses, ABC Sports, and ESPN. All these channels would display their faces and show their faces and everything, but they weren't getting compensated for their name, image, and likeness being used. But the coaches were making millions and millions of dollars just to coach the athletes. And the argument came in, well, they're getting a free education. Okay. But they're getting a free education because you, as the university, decided to recruit them to come there and pay for their education to support your program. And now that they have the right to use their name, image, and likeness for profit, there's an issue. Why? It's not about the name, image, and likeness. It's about the ones that are making the money off their name, image, and likeness. Notice in here, he never mentioned white athletes. He never mentioned anything about the white athletes, only black athletes. Mind you, name, image, and likeness is for all athletes. All. But he only is concentrating on those who are making the money and may, not that they will, but may be able to go out and buy a Rolls or a Bentley. But he has an issue with that. He has an issue with that. Brown hoodie sounds like another form of slavery to me. Yeah, you said that. You said it. But come on, y'all. What is it? What is it? And let me say it this way. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. I want you to think about the people I've been talking about other than Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's a young, uneducated, wannabe, whatever he is. Let's talk about Rand Paul. Let's talk about Tommy Tuberville. Let's talk about all these people that are in the Senate and a lot in the Congress. A lot of the mayors, governors, judges in the legislatures. Most of these people, I'm not saying all, but most are 60 and above. Do the research. Most of these people are 60 and above. And I'm talking about years old now. 60 years old and above. What do you think their mentality is? They have seen in their lifetime, let's just be real, 60 and above now. They have seen in their lifetime us go from marching for equality, equal rights, to now us being able to profit off of our name, image, and likeness. And then here's what you got to think about. When you say name, image, and likeness, back in the day, if you want to go back through history, name, image, and likeness, our name, our image, and our likeness meant nothing. Nothing at all. But now our younger generation is able to profit off their name, image, and likeness, not only because of who they are, not only because of what they represent, because of what they stand for. This goes back to being a threat to white nationalism. Let's call it what it is. You know, the ethno state that I mentioned? This has nothing to do with the fact that they're angry because they're making money. Well, it deals with the fact that they're making money, but it deals with the fact that some of them making more money than them. A college athlete, Angel Reese, for one, Bronny James, number two. I don't know the rankings, but I'm saying I'm throwing names out there. Are making a lot of money off the NIL, off their own name, image, and likeness. And the thing is this, they're not out selling themselves. These organizations, these companies, these businesses, they're seeking them out because they're trying to attract a certain age, a certain demographic to purchase their products, to drink their products. All this is marketing. And why shouldn't they be able to profit off marketing of themselves? Just like, and I'll say it this way, every one of those senators, every one of those congressmen, everyone that's ever been a president, everyone that's a mayor, everyone who has ever served in some political position puts this in front of their name after they leave office. Former governor, former mayor, former president. They're not in that position no more, but they put former in front of that, which gives them a certain edge for people to still want to use them to promote something that they have. But if you're an athlete of color, we don't feel that you should be able to profit off your name, image, and likeness, but you're profiting off of a position you used to hold. I'm profiting off of somebody that I am and what I represent and what I can do. And you have a problem with that. Wow. This is where we are. Maurice Wigfall, good morning. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. This is where we are. This is where we are. Keep getting it. Keep doing what you do out there, athletes. Keep doing what you do. Get your name, image, and likeness. Get your money. Because they're gonna try to stop it somehow, some way. They're gonna try. But you keep getting yours. You keep getting yours. Essence Fest. I've never attended, always wanted to. Heard it's a good time. A lot of things going on for, us. Essence Magazine just created this Essence Fest years and years ago. Goes on in New Orleans every year, matter of fact, around July time frame, somewhere in there. But this year there was some controversy around Essence Fest. Normally it's controversy dealing with somebody didn't sound right when they were singing or they put on a poor performance, but not this year. Not this year. This year there was some controversy surrounding Megan Thee Stallion. For y'all don't know who Megan Thee Stallion is, she's a rapper. And Janelle Monáe, actor, singer, so on and so forth. I guess during Essence Fest, and I seen the video, Megan Thee Stallion was doing her performance and everything, and then she brought a whole bunch of other women up on stage, and it was a quote-unquote twerk fest. Turned in, not from Essence Fest, turned into a twerk fest. And people were in uproar. Main one, India.Arie. Anybody that know India.Arie is one of those grounded people. She's all in tune with the earth and everything. Not to put her down now. That's who she is. I am not my hair, brown skin. You know the song she sang, all about uplifting us. But she had a problem with Megan Thee Stallion having all these people on stage twerking. And she also had a problem with Janelle Monáe, because Janelle Monáe, I guess she has a video out where she shows her tatas. But out there when she was performing, she decided to pull up, the side of her bikini top and show her tatas, had a little pasty over the nipple. Not that I watched all that, but I'm just telling you what I heard. I got to do my research. But anyway, she pulled it up, had a pasty on it. India.Arie has a problem with that. She said, when did we get to this point at Essence Fest? Was Essence Fest for us as a people was strictly to uplift us and get us all together, sell our things. You can get booths, all type of things, and I listened to, and I wish I would have pulled up her full statement, but I read India.Arie's full statement, and I agree. I agree with a lot of she said, but then there's a certain part of me that says, you know what, this is all about being able to have the freedom to express yourself with the twerking and if you want to flash somebody, that's on you. They do it in New Orleans all the time for beads and everything like that. However, there's Essence Fest has children there as well, is what I'm told. There's children there, or younger adults and everything, right? Now, I'm not telling Megan Thee Stallion to stop doing what she does. That's what she does. I'm not telling Janelle Monáe, And India.Arie made the point to come out and say that she loves her two sisters. She loves them. She has no problem with them. She just has an issue with the presentation of what we're doing at certain times in certain places, in certain venues, and that kind of thing. Basically, she was saying Essence Fest is not the place for this. I don't know when we actually got to the point where, in order to express ourselves as individuals, we have to display certain sexualities about who we are, flashing the breast, twerking, shaking it, all that type stuff. Yeah, Do people like to look at it? Yeah, you see it all over TikTok. You see it all over Instagram. You see it all over Facebook now. You see it everywhere you go where people are displaying. You got now that you got Instagram, you got women that are on there that are posing in bikinis. You got men on there with no shirts on and trying to do the workouts and everything. It is what it is. My biggest thing with India Ari is I understand your stance. I understand how you feel about it. And I understand the fact that you feel that it was something you needed to speak on. But I also understand the fact that in this day, in this age, you have an option to leave it, ignore it, comment, not comment, keep moving. This is where we are today. Everything that is faced, everything that is not faced can't be changed, and everything that's changed has to be faced. Something I can't remember James Baldwin. Y'all have heard me say it on here before. I understand where she's coming from, but I also understand the freedom of expression. And with the freedom of expression comes who that person is and what that person believes in and how they feel. They want to express themselves. That's a part of the freedoms that they have. No harm, no foul, no this, no that, or anything like that. My thing would have been, if India Ari felt that strongly about it, call Essence Fest people that put it together. Let them know how you felt. Call those two ladies individually and let them know, since you say you love them, let them know how you felt. Because see, we're so quick to go and post something for everybody in a roundabout way, telling the person that we want to tell what we want to tell them without just reaching out. She could have, if she can go on their Instagram or wherever she posted and post it, then she could have went there and sent a message, an instant message or direct message to those two people individually. That's all I'm saying. And it's not to say that, she should cover up how she feels. But sometimes I think we get past the point of understanding that it's best to go to the source of where your discouragement is. It's not hard. It's not hard to pull somebody aside and say, let me holler at you for a minute. Yo, sis, can I speak to you for a minute? Because as me and OT were talking last week, and I mentioned about the N-word with me, and I seen something this week that went into that, and I'm going to leave that alone. But if someone is using that around me, I have found it in me to say, hey, I'd appreciate if you didn't use that word around me. If it's someone that I don't know, somebody that I know, they already know. But if somebody I don't know, I don't hesitate to say it. They may not agree with it, but this is something that I feel I don't want used around me. She could have done the same thing and told them how she felt about their performances individually rather than for the masses. Because sometimes when you try to put your feelings and your expression out to the masses rather than the individual, it gets lost. The message gets lost. I'm pretty sure if she'd have made that phone call between her and Meg Thee Stallion and her and Janelle Monáe and let them know as sisters where they stand, knowing who India Ari represents, I'm pretty sure I'll go out on a limb and say both of those young ladies, being in the industry now, understand who she is, understand what she stands on, and would have taken the conversation a lot better than having to see it in a post on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. Now, I'm not trying to downgrade anything that India Ari may have said. I'm just saying there's certain ways that we should handle things rather than everything having to be public. Yeah, they twerked in public, so it should be addressed in public. That's what most people would say. She flashed her breast in public. Let's address it in public. But sometimes go to the source. You don't have to tell everybody how you feel about it. Just tell the person who may have offended you how you feel about it. You'll be surprised how accepting it is. Now, when they leave you, they may sat there and had a good conversation with you, but when they leave you, they may go to one of their friends and be like, let me tell you what this fool had the nerve to say to me. That's fine. You said what you needed to say. They said what they needed to say. As far as you're concerned, let it go. No matter what they go and tell everybody else, that's a choice that they make. But it doesn't have to start with you letting everybody know how you felt about it. That's my take on that. I think we get so caught up in wanting to tell everybody that we just don't tell the person that needs to be told. Just an observation. Missing. There's a 25-year-old named Carly Nicole Russell, missing in Alabama. And I seen this last night and it jumped out at me because here's where it's very interesting to me. And I want everybody out there to listen to this, and I want everybody to pass it on to your men, young ladies, anybody that's out there. She called 911 around 9:34 p.m. local time on Thursday. Russell told the dispatcher that she saw a toddler walking on the side of I-459 South. After calling 911, she stopped to check on the child and called a family member who lost contact with her, though the line remained open, according to the Facebook post. When officers arrived, who were already en route from the initial 911 call, they arrived at the scene. They found Russell's vehicle and some of her belongings, including her phone, but no sign of her or the child. Police have not received any reports or calls of a missing child. In a press conference on Friday, police said the case remains open and active, and a reward of up to $25,000 has been offered. I've seen this before posted somewhere, and they said that this is something that, what do they call them? Traffickers, sex traffickers are using. They'll put a child out on the road late at night somewhere where a lot of traffic comes on, and then somebody will stop. And when they stop to check on the child or find out the child's okay, they kidnap the person. This is what it sounds like happened here. Here's what we need to understand. And I understand, I don't know Miss Russell, but obviously you can tell by being 25 years old and having a big heart, she's seen the child and she felt she needed to do something, because at 9:34 p.m. in the evening, why is a child out on an I-459 on the highway? Be careful, y'all. Be very careful about the situations you choose to put yourself in. I'm praying that this young lady makes it home safely. I'm praying that they find her, everything works out for the best. But I'll say this, and I truly mean this. We all have big hearts where we want to help. We also got to be cognizant of the situations that we're in when we decide to give that help. I'm not saying, and I don't want anybody to think I'm saying that she was wrong in what she did. All I'm saying is we have to be more careful in the decisions we make, even when we're thinking we're doing the right thing. When I read this, it kind of hit me hard, because I remember seeing posts about if you see a child out in the street by itself, want to be very weary of it, because it could be a setup to kidnap you or anything like this. And when I seen this, it just hit me hard. So I want to put this out there to everybody, that if you have young ladies, young men, I mean, because we're not exempt, young men are not exempt, but if you have young ladies specifically that may be traveling back and forth to work late at night, coming home from work and different things like that, be sure that you instill in them that if you see something, yes, you can try to help, but don't get out the car. Don't unlock your doors. Don't stop at that specific location. Go further up, call it in from somewhere else. Don't put yourself in a situation trying to help someone that could turn out to be worse for you than it was for who you were trying to help. It's sad. It's sad. And as I say, I hope they find her safe, and I hope she makes it home to her family. But at 25 years old, she was doing something that she felt out the kindness of her heart that needed to be done for a child. And now she's missing. Be very wary, very, very cautious. I'll say cautious about when and where you do things to help others, because someone may not have your best interest at hand. Let's keep our prayers up for her. Mind, body, and soul, mind, body, and soul. It's the year 2023. Getting back to you. No resolutions, just becoming a better you. And today, mind, body, soul. I didn't even write anything down. Yeah, today I had it. I couldn't really come up with something, with anything that has been on my heart or that I felt was something that I needed to pass on. But I'm gonna say it this way today on the mind, body, and soul. We cannot, as a society, let me just say it this way. Society and then white nationalism and the different things we talk about with the racism and the things we may deal with on a daily basis. We can't continue in this country of the United States of America to yell land of the free, home of the brave, when it's only relevant for some folks. And I say this because I was having this discussion, and me and Mr. Hoodie, shout out Brian, we're having this discussion. And I said this the other day, and I may be paraphrasing because I can never remember everything I said at the time. But I said we hear these things about equal justice under the law. We hear the thing, what we know to be true is that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and all those people that marched with him and Malcolm X and what he spoke, and though the approaches were different, they meant the same thing and they looked for the same thing. And that was equality for everyone in this country. And when we see these reports about white nationalism and the kickback about affirmative action and all these different things that were put in place that they're trying to get rid of now, we think about where we were and where we are and the things that are rearing their ugly heads now and everything like that. You have to ask yourself, how can we as a country, and I'm just going to be broad here, how can we as a country continue to say and call ourselves Christian? Let me start there. Call ourselves a Christian nation and continue to say one nation under God, but then pick and choose who we choose to treat in a godly manner. It gets very disheartening to come and report these things that I report, to bring these things up. And a lot of people will say, well, you talk about these racial undertones all the time. You bring these things up all the time. I bring them up because they're relevant. I bring them up because they're relevant. I bring it up because it's not something we should just push to the side. And I bring it up because there's some people out here who won't talk about this. Let's just be real. Mainstream media only talks about certain situations that deal with what is going on. And they don't dig into the deep core of why it's happening, because most of the people that are reporting it don't have the experiences of those that it's affecting. If you don't have the experiences of the effects of what's going on, and you've never been in the situation of what's going on, then you probably don't understand the full concept of why we, myself and others, speak out about these things when we see them. Now, as I mentioned about NDRE, there's certain things that need to be addressed behind closed doors or behind closed doors, but there's certain things that need to be addressed out loud. That was a difference of actions and opinions at a certain time in a certain situation. Racism, white nationalism, those things are not specific things that are happening. It should be talked about behind closed doors. These are things that are affecting people nationally. And when I say nationally, I'm not just talking about the United States of America. I'm talking about in Europe. I'm talking about the African countries, all the countries within the African continent. Because let's not get that confused that Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent. But I digress. But we have to be aware that when we talk about this white nationalism, white supremacy is spreading throughout the world. We pinpoint it because this is where we are. We don't see everything that's happening in Europe. We don't see everything that's happening in the African countries where you have Russia coming in, taking over certain areas, and they're trying to act like they're over there to help, but they're there for the resources more than the people. These are the things that need to be talked about out loud. And I will challenge everyone out there, start paying attention to this, start speaking about this, because here's, for me, is where it gets interesting. We talk about the uplifting of a people, of us as a people. We talk about us being treated unfairly and different things like that. But at the same time, we're not putting in the work that we need to do to change these things. We're not trying to fill those positions that can be a part of changing these ideals. Then you have those that we call, like we were talking about the names, calling out the names and things like that, because their ideology is different than ours and everything. But the thing is, those that have that different ideology, that's where those conversations need to be had. That's where we need to sit down and have that conversation. Rather than continue to call them out of name, sit down and have that conversation. Find out why they have the mentality that they have, because their experiences may be completely different than yours, or they may be the same. And because their experiences are the same, they choose to change the direction of which way they came in order to change what their experiences will be going forward. All I'm saying is we have to do everything in our power to fight against the injustices, no matter who it's happening to. I heard this big argument about affirmative action. Now you got African Americans going against Asians because the Asians put in for the affirmative action to be overturned because they weren't being seen. Now you got African Americans against them. But if they look at it in the big scope of things, Asians, African Americans, Latino, Hispanics, all the nationalities we can think about. When you talk about white nationalism, we're all exempt from what they want to do. Ethno-state. Ethno-state means exempt from all of us and just them. Pay attention. Pay attention. Don't get caught up, and I'll say this to people of non-color, don't get caught up in the fact of what we're speaking about and you continue to hear it. Why don't you get involved and find out why we continue to say it, and then why you continue to overlook it? Let's have that conversation. Rather than talk about how often we bring it up, let's talk about how often you blow it off. Then we can have a conversation about what's going on in this country and around the world when it comes to white nationalism. Until then, nothing's going to change. But we have to have those hard conversations that nobody wants to have. Stop blowing it off and sit down and talk about it. Because here's the other part. Those that get offended and they're not part of the problem are offended because they look like those that are the problem, but don't want to have those hard conversations with the problem. I'll just put it that way, and I'm going to leave it alone. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. Sorry about the technical difficulties in the beginning. Let me figure out what was going on. I don't know, but hey, we got it worked out and everything. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And look, this is July. We almost into August, y'all. The year is almost out. We got August, September, October, November, December. 5 more months. 5 more months, and we'll be 2024. Take advantage of the time we have. Each day you wake up, be thankful for who you are, what's going on in your life, what you've been blessed with, and even the controversies you're dealing with. Because one day you're going to look back over your life and say, everything that I ever went through made me the person I am today. Everything that I've ever went through has made me the person I am today. Appreciate it. Embrace it. It's a part of who you are. Don't hide it. Don't fight it. Accept it for what it is. Not accepting it for what you had to deal with, but accepting it for who you are coming out on the other side. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely keep your faith in God. I'll see y'all again next week, and I'll holler. Peace.